Kejriwal for 4 days until April 1st. Arvind Kejriwal is now going to be in ED custody. The court in its order said that there are sufficient reasons to extend Arvind Kejriwal's custody, particularly keeping in view that the probe agency needs to confront him with other accused. They also said that this interrogation and confrontation should be done without any delay. But during that hearing, we saw high drama that ensued inside the courtroom. Arvind Kejriwal argued his own case. It was a rare moment. He asked for time to present his own case. The judge gave him just 5 minutes to go on to say, despite there were objections that were raised by the Enforcement Directorate's counsel. Arvind Kejriwal said this is a political conspiracy to crush his party. That was the only mission that the ED was out on, he alleged. Kejriwal said that the ED's sole mission was to somehow implicate him, even though there was absolutely no evidence against him. Now, the ED objected to Kejriwal's contentions. They argued that Kejriwal was merely playing to the gallery, but the court and the judge decided to give him his 5 minutes anyway. But let's take a look at why exactly the Enforcement Directorate wanted this extended custody. Remember, they've been granted 4 days. They sought an entire week. The Enforcement Directorate told the court that while Kejriwal's statements have been recorded, he gave evasive replies. They said that they need to confront him with some of the other people, some of the other accused in this case, some approvers as well. 4 more statements of AAP Goa candidates are being recorded. They need to be verified and corroborated as far as the entire case goes, is why we need Arvind Kejriwal in custody, is what ASG Raju said. The Enforcement Directorate then said that they need now to confront Arvind Kejriwal with those Goa candidates and the claims that they've been making. They also allege that Kejriwal has not disclosed his passwords or given any digital access to data. If that doesn't happen, if he does not cooperate and does not give up those data, does not give up those passwords, we will have to break them open, is also what they said in court. The agency alleged that Kejriwal told ED that he will speak to his lawyers and decide whether or not he's going to be giving those passwords or not. And like I said, if Kejriwal does not give up those passwords, we'll have to break them open, said the Enforcement Directorate. They also then reiterated their allegation that Arvind Kejriwal was not cooperating in the probe. He was deliberately not giving his income tax returns. ED also alleged and they said that they have issued summons to excise officials in Punjab as well. They also want to now probe that particular link, which is why they need Arvind Kejriwal in custody. Now, the Delhi Chief Minister himself made his submissions, like I pointed out, in the Rouse Avenue Court today. He said that the CBI had filed 31,000 pages. The ED had filed about 25,000 pages relating to this particular matter. Where is the proof? No court has convicted me. There is no case against me. I have not been proven guilty, is what Arvind Kejriwal said. He said, why am I being arrested when there is no case against me made out? To which the Enforcement Directorate just said that we're still investigating. Where is the question of conviction? Kejriwal then said that Magunta Reddy came to him for a land, for a trust that he wanted. Later, he just changed his statement. And then named him. He also was speaking of money that exchanged hands. Why are these approvers being trusted is a question he asked. Kejriwal alleged that accused Sharath Reddy had given 55 crore rupees to the BJP via electoral bonds, the data which came out recently. Kejriwal also referred to the statements made by several other accused turned approvers in this case. C. Arvind, Raghav Magunta, his father, and Sharath Reddy. Kejriwal alleged they were all people that had turned approvers in this case. They were being forced to change their statements. The Enforcement Directorate rebutted that count as well. They said that those people who did not give their statements the first time around, all of them have listed their reasons and the ED has already put that on record in court. Kejriwal said that he is named by 4 witnesses in this alleged case. He asked if these 4 statements and comments are enough for a chief minister, for a sitting chief minister to be arrested. The Enforcement Directorate pointed out that the law cannot be different for any individual in this country, be a CM or not. Arvind Kejriwal said that it's being alleged that a 100 crore scam was in the making. But where is the money? Where are these alleged proceeds of crime is what Arvind Kejriwal asked. He went on to highlight that Justice Sanjeev Khanna said that there is money trail that is not yet traced. So why then am I being harassed is the question Arvind Kejriwal had to ask. That's an allegation the Aam Aadmi Party has also been making. The Chief Minister of Delhi then asserted that the motive of the Enforcement Directorate is only to crush the Aam Aadmi Party. That's their single one-point agenda, he said. Kejriwal added that the real liquor scam, in fact, begins post the ED investigation. He told the court that he can be kept in remand for as long as he wants. I do not want to contest it. I'm ready for investigation, but this is the real scam, is what he went on to say. Now, we are in election season. The probe of it is on one side, but this also is about political narratives. It's about the optics. Is this going to hurt Aam Aadmi Party and the India Alliance, who now stand together with Arvind Kejriwal against the Enforcement Directorate, against the BJP, who they allege is orchestrating all of this? That's the big question we ask on the right stand.
एलजी कह रहे सरकार जेल से नहीं चलेगी।
ये पॉलिटिकल शेड्यूल करे, जनता इसका जवाब देगी।
ईडी खुद ही कह रही है कि इतने दिनों की रिमांड के अंदर उन्हें कोई जानकारी नहीं मिली एक चुने हुए मुख्यमंत्री को। आप कितने दिनों तक जो है इस तरीके से कैद कर सकते हैं?
When the Supreme Court itself has said there is a money trail of 338 crores being funded to the Aam Aadmi Party, or shall I say the Bhrasht Aadmi Party, in Goa elections.
Joining me on this broadcast, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Shehzad Poonawalla. Abhinandita Mathur, Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, also joins me. And let me begin by asking the Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Ms. Mathur, we had Arvind Kejriwal argue for himself in court today. It was a rare moment. We've never really seen such things happen. But the court allowed him to make his submissions, and he went on to do that despite the ED objecting. Despite that, the court has now ruled that there were sufficient grounds, there were sufficient reasons for him to be remanded back to the ED custody.
Good evening. You're right that these are indeed extraordinary circumstances. There is no doubt about it. In fact, our heads hang in shame in the way that the BJP is actually manipulating, exploiting the power that they have. And it is for the world to see. Unfortunately, the PMLA law has been amended by the BJP as such that it is impossible or nearly impossible to get bail. Of course, unless and until you are one of the Reddys who have given 55 crore through the electoral bonds to the BJP, I think that is where the so to speak scam actually lies. That you first harass people, you arrest them, you take 9 statements, and when you're still not satisfied, you perhaps try and cajole the so to speak accused, and then get them to put money into your bank account, and hurrah, that is what the BJP is doing. Somehow try to pass out Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, Mr. Manish Sisodia, Mr. Satinder Jain, Mr. Sanjay Singh. But what the BJP does not realize is that this is not an ordinary opponent. We are the Aam Aadmi Party. This is Arvind Kejriwal. There is no way that you can harass us or intimidate us by just imprisoning us. So I think the BJP is exposing itself, and I'm sure that even now when the BJP spokesperson speaks, the more they talk, the more they expose themselves, and it is for the world to see. In fact, I must tell you that there are a lot of people in Delhi and around the country who are calling us, who said that we are, originally we have been supporting the BJP. But ये अति हो गई है, ये राजधर्म का पालन नहीं कर रही है बीजेपी. The Prime Minister is totally on some sort of a power trip and completely destroying the structure of our country, the democracy and everything else. So this is really a very extraordinary situation. In fact, before we carry on the debate, it's important to also highlight today that, out of the blue now, because of the BJP ka washing machine, now Praful Patel has been, freed by the CBI charges. It's amazing. It's incredible what the BJP is doing, and I must congratulate the BJP spokesperson in advance for defending the undefendable.
And the BJP can come in and respond to the allegations that you've been making. But my question to you, Ms. Mathur, was very pointed. It was the courts that denied relief in the first place, which led to the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal. The Enforcement Directorate had sent 9 summons to him. You may call them illegal and unlawful, but if you and I were summoned, if the common man was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate or any other agency, we could not have gotten away by calling it unlawful and illegal. It's not a luxury we have.
Well, we would also not have the benefit like the BJP gave to the Reddy by giving 55 crores and then the ED not opposing his bail. Look, for the last 2 years, we are well aware that the BJP that is trying to investigate through its agencies that trying to investigate this case have actually not found anything substantial here. We know that for the last 2 years, they have been trying to nab Arvind Kejriwal ji, which they have managed to do today. We were very prepared for this, and which is why, we thought that the ED summons were
Sure,
actually
you
illegal.
say that nothing was found, that no money has been found. Kejriwal also says the same thing, but the Enforcement
Well,
Directorate says, sure, you made your point. Sure, but the Enforcement Directorate, but the Enforcement Directorate does say that they have statements on record to go on to say. You doubt those statements as well. The probe is still on. But let me get in Shehzad Poonawalla as well. This is just the BJP trying to arm twist agencies to do your bidding. This is the allegation, Shehzad, not just the Aam Aadmi Party makes, but a united opposition has been making.
The AAP spokesperson spoke for 6.5 minutes uninterrupted, so I hope she won't interrupt me when I answer one after the other. First of all, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson continues to say that Chawanni nahi mili, no money trail was found. Here is the statement of the lawyer for Aam Aadmi Party and Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Gupta. I quote him from Live Law, and your own reports have also shown it. I am willing to cooperate, he says on behalf of Mr. Kejriwal, but किस लिए अरेस्ट किया मुझे? मनी ट्रेल तो खर्च हो गया है गोवा में. Here is the lawyer coming on record and saying कि money trail तो खर्च हो गया है. By the way, the Supreme Court has spoken of a 338 crore money trail. You won't believe the Supreme Court when it says that. You will believe the Supreme Court when it says something about Chandigarh mayor elections. Then the High Court, in not a PMLA matter, but in a matter related to CBI, where Manish Sisodia has not been given bail, has said 100 crores kickback has been taken by him, and he's prima facie the architect of the Sharab Ghotala. The lower court and other courts have kept Sanjay Singh, Vijay Nair, Manish Sisodia, and now Mr. Kejriwal in jail. It is not the BJP. So unless Ms. Mathur is trying to imply that the courts are being vindictive, the BJP doesn't decide who remains in jail. It is your actions and the court what it makes about your actions. But having said that, let me address some of the other questions. I am glad that people are calling her up and saying कि अभी तो अति हो गई, BJP को ये नहीं करना चाहिए था. But your own MPs, the only MP you had in Punjab is joining us. So I don't know which people are calling you. But here are a few questions that need to be asked today. First of all, Mr. Kejriwal has transformed himself from Swaraj to Sharab. He has transformed himself from being in the company of Anna Hazare to being in the company of Lalu Prasad, who's been convicted 4 times. And he's transformed himself from being somebody who used to demand this resignation of people at drop of a hat. Lalu Prasad, Mulayam, Sonia Gandhi used to demand their resignation. Today, when the courts are not granting him relief, forget resignation, they won't join investigation, and they say they will run the Sarkar from inside jail. And this is exactly like what Pablo Escobar used to do. So in Delhi, we have a Pablo Escobar. This is unprecedented. But Ms. Mathur, may I ask you that how are you doing this running of the Sarkar from the jail? The first order issued by Atishi Marlena says Office of CMO. Now, unless Mr. Kejriwal has written and signed permission from the court, he cannot issue this to an officer in the CMO. Which officer in the CMO issued this? Why is there no date? Why is there no CR number? And please tell me how this was communicated to Atishi Marlena, because Atishi Marlena did not meet the Honorable Chief Minister. So the only other way is through a non-constitutional position holder. Who was that person? Please tell us and answer it specifically. Secondly, if no money trail has been found, are you implying that the courts are against you and doing vendetta against you and keeping in jail without any proof? Thirdly, you lied about the High Court order yesterday. Atishi said that yesterday High Court has given you a sense of relief because it has admitted that the arrest is illegal. Para 15, which Ananya Bharadwaj and others have quoted, shows that that was a summation of the petitioner's argument, and the court went on to say that it would be unfair to decide on this matter without listening to the ED, which had not filed its complete reply, and therefore today no interim relief can be granted. But that was manipulated. And then coming to the last point, these are a bunch of people who lied about everything. You remember they said they will make a khulasa about the 800 crore audio tape that we were spending to break their party. Where is that audio tape till today? They made a khulasa about Mr. Jaitley, they had to apologize. They made a khulasa about Mr. Gadkari, they had to apologize. And today they made a khulasa that Arvind Kejriwal knows that about 1 lakh papers are there in favor of him and 4 statements are against him. Now coming to the Sharad Reddy also question. By the way, Sharad Reddy was not granted bail by us. He was granted bail by court. He was made approver by the court. Also, madam, you would like to know.
Did the ED
Can I please answer? Can I please answer without you interrupting me? Can I please answer without you interrupting me? Now, why are you interrupting me? Also, madam, for your information, you should know that it is your own Goa leaders who are statements are there that 45 crores was paid to them in cash. So please focus on that statement, which is the key statement on the basis of which Mr. Kejriwal is cooling off his heels in jail, and rather than say that this is based on one statement, which is not the correct picture. And secondly, if you suggest that this was one statement on the basis of which the remand has not been granted, then madam, please tell me that why has court today, after hearing to this argument also, not given any relief to Mr. Kejriwal?
Abhinandita Mathur, it's the 4 statements, 4 approvers that Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party has objections to, but those are not the only things that this case is based on, is it? There are several others who've given statements about this alleged scam that the Enforcement Directorate has on record, which they have put out in court as well.
Well, exactly.
So if you
your point
accuse the
is-
BJP and the ED of selectively acting or selectively making allegations in case of the BJP, that is the same accusation, the same allegation that the Aam Aadmi Party will also face.
You have to understand the chronology here. The chronology is simple. Arrest, donation, approver, bail. That is the scheme of things. If it was not for the Honorable Supreme Court's judgment on the electoral bonds, we would have never known that this Reddy has paid 55 crores to the BJP. You see, this was not meant to be exposed in the way it is because of the electoral bonds case. And God knows, this is just the beginning of the end. As far as the BJP is concerned, there are so many skeletons in their cupboard. One more thing that, when Shehzad was speaking, I should ask him that did the ED oppose Reddy's bail? You think that the people of this country are foolish and only the BJP is pavitra and only the BJP is intelligent and only the BJP is deshbhakt. We are a country of very, very remarkable people.
Let me answer this.
The way that the BJP is currently destroying the very nature, I am saying that forget about anybody else. I don't think the people in the BJP are going to be safe if things go on like this. What happens to Praful Patel when he joins the BJP? What happens to Himanta Biswas when he joins the BJP? What happens to the over 700 MLAs and MPs who were, called corrupt by the BJP? What happens overnight when they join the BJP? Look, BJP, the current BJP, is the most corrupt party in the world. It is such an embarrassment to this country that somebody like Mr. Modi, who keeps quiet, when Manipur happens, who quiet when the wrestlers are protesting.
Let's stick to this because
Let's
she's
stick
going
to
to
the
divert.
subject at hand. Sure. You've made your point. You've made your point, Abhinandita Mathur. You've made your point. Shehzad Poonawalla, this is an allegation, like I said.
Yes, argument.
Shehzad, it's also
Let me
the
demolish
allegation
this
that has been made not just in this case but on multiple occasions, that either cases against those people who switch sides to the BJP are either dropped or they go into cold storage.
Do you think,
I will
Shehzad,
answer that in 30 seconds, but let me
You've
first
made your-
demolish her other
you've made your-
argument.
you've made your
Ms.
point. Let him
Mathur,
respond,
I have not
please.
interrupted you.
Shehzad, go ahead.
Ms. Mathur, and I have written down what she said, so I am going to quote her again. She said, chronology samajhiye, first arrest, then approver, then chanda, then approver made, then bail given. This is what she said. Now, Ms. Mathur, let me burst your false narrative and propaganda. The first time that this company that you accuse of, the company is different, individual is different, but anyways, the company that you accuse of, the company made the donation not just to BJP but to many parties including your allies like the BRS, was in January 2022. The first time an FIR was filed in this case was in August 2022. The first time this man got bail was in May 2023. So the chronology that you've just explained has exposed you. Why were they paying us money, apparently, even before the case was registered? And if they were paying us before the case was registered, what kind of payment is this that they paid us and we still registered the case and made them the accused in it? So today, Poonam, I want your show to be watched by all the lakhs of people that Ms. Abhinandita Mathur does not know her facts. And this is what happens when the Aam Aadmi Party lies about everything. She said PMLA case mein hua hai. Manish Sisodia is in jail not under PMLA case alone, but also under IPC and POCA, which is decided by CBI court, not by a ED court or a PMLA court. But she has lied about that too. Thirdly, Abhinandita Mathur, you are saying this person is corrupt, that person is corrupt. No person who has entered our alliance fold, any case has been stopped. I'll give you 2 examples specifically. One, Mukul Roy joined our party. He became the vice president. He was grilled by the CBI. Do not interrupt. Do not interrupt. Please wait your turn. Mukul
hassle.
Roy joined our party even then the case was not stopped against him, and now Mukul Roy is in the TMC. Please tell us, why did you take this corrupt Mukul Roy back if he had so many cases against him? Secondly, I'll give you a specific example. Pratap Sarnaik, he was with Uddhav Sena. You all said that he is not corrupt. When he joined us, you started saying he is corrupt. Even then, his case was stopped by Uddhav Sena government. We went to High Court in ED, and ED said that no, the case will not be stopped. Even today, the case has not been stopped. But I ask you, Lalu is convicted 4 times. Now, Abhinandita Mathur, forget allegations कि मैंने आपको corrupt बोला, तुमने मुझे corrupt बोला. Lalu is convicted 4 times, first time in 2013. Today, forget everything else. Do you consider Lalu corrupt? And here is the problem. You used to demand that Lalu should be put in jail, Sonia should be put in jail, Mulayam should be put in jail. Today, you are all protesting with Lalu that I should not be put in jail. With Mulayam's son that I should not be put in jail. With Sonia's son that I should not be put in jail. This is the political transformation that from Anna to Lalu. Can you tell me if Lalu is corrupt or not? And I have explained to you how you are lying on
Sure, and Abhinandita Mathur, this is also about the optics. It's also about the political narrative that we're setting. We are in election season. It may be the unnecessary, unrequired fallout of it, but there definitely are going to be political consequences of this as well.
Absolutely, exactly my point. Look, the legal part of it is one thing, and it is all happening in a political context. That's important to understand. I have heard, Shehzad's the dialogues for the last 1 year, and I think this rhetoric about Lalu corrupt hai ki nahi, ye corrupt hai ki nahi, I've heard this. I'm not falling for this. I think that the simple point is that the BJP only wants to win elections, by hook or by crook. We have seen it enough times. How is it that they are able to topple governments overnight? 2 baje raat ko swearing in ho rahi hai. Have you ever seen something like this? Are you joking? Do you think that we are all foolish, that the whole country is asleep? No, we know that you want to win elections. That's all that you care about. You don't care about the economy. You don't care about
so as per the opposition, the optics for the BJP are bad. But as far as the Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal is concerned, Abhinandita Mathur, the optics don't look so great for you either. Many say that for Arvind Kejriwal, life's come a full circle. He's gone to jail once in the past, and at that time, he was fighting for a stronger anti-corruption law. He was fighting against corruption.
Let me
About a decade later, he's back in jail, but this time he's the one who's facing corruption allegations.
And guess who has put these allegations on him? A party that has not been able to defeat him in Delhi for 2 terms. We get 67, 62 unprecedented mandate, despite the fact that they put in LG tries to stall the work. Poonam, that really is the problem. They do not have a thought for Arvind Kejriwal, and which is why they are really after him. That is the fact.
Sure. So electorally, Shehzad, I just have 30 seconds left on this. The allegation is, Shehzad, that electorally you cannot defeat the Aam Aadmi Party, which is why you're resorting to such tactics and ensuring that the agencies work at your behest. 30 seconds rebuttal.
ये शराब का मामला है, ये शिक्षा का मामला नहीं है. शराब की बात हो रही है, शिक्षा पर छुपने का काम मत कीजिए.
Congress was the first one to file an FIR or file a complaint. 1 second, don't interrupt now. Poonam, please ensure that I get my 30 seconds.
Yes, 30 seconds,
Poonam,
Shehzad.
please ensure
Yes,
that
go
my
ahead.
time is not cannibalized by her. First of all, Supriya Shrinet, Ajay Mahakan, Pawan Kheda, in fact, who said that it is my complaint because of which the entire liquor probe is happening, and the first complaints by Anil Chaudhary and others, they were the ones who pushed the complaint and pushed the allegations. In fact, even now, people from the Congress are saying that Mr. Kejriwal should resign. Secondly, if ED is so biased, then the same ED Ms. Mathur's party demanded should have arrested Bhapesh Baghel during the Chhattisgarh elections. They did a PC on that. Thirdly, she's saying that Lalu being convicted is rhetoric. It is a fact that he's been convicted multiple times, but today you cannot call Lalu corrupt, and that is your problem. And fourthly, these were the same leaders that you said once upon a time were corrupt and they needed to go to jail. And today when the action is happening, you are saying that this is wrong action.
ने चोरी कर रखी है, मुलायम सिंह यादव ने चोरी कर रखी है, मायावती ने चोरी कर रखी है, सबने चोरी कर रखी है.
So don't do this.
और अगर ये पार्टियां जन लोकपाल बिल पास कर
answer
देंगी
the
तो ये
hard
सारे जेल चले
questions
जाएंगे.
that you're asking.
Sure.
Now
So
I
in a
want to
war
ask,
of-
that
in a
was Arvind
war of-
Kejriwal lying then or Arvind
So in a
Kejriwal
war
lying
of
now?
optics, who exactly is coming out shining bright? That's something that the voters will decide if there is an electoral fallout of that. Meanwhile, the probe against Arvind Kejriwal continues as far as the excise policy is concerned. Unfortunately, I have to leave it at that. I thank you both for joining us on this broadcast, though. Shifting focus now to the other big debate here. Amid several political leaders coming under the scandal on corruption allegations like we were just discussing, over 600 lawyers now from across the country have written to the Chief Justice of India expressing serious concerns over what they describe as political and professional pressure to influence judicial outcomes. The letter, that is titled Judiciary Under Threat, Safeguarding Judiciary from Political and Professional Pressure, has now been signed by prominent lawyers. They include senior advocates Harish Salve, Manan Kumar Mishra, who joins us in just a few minutes, Adish Agarwal, Chetan Mittal, Pinky Anand and several others. The letter alleges that the actions of a specific interest group, a vested group, aimed to undermine the judiciary's integrity. We have accessed that 6-page letter, so let me take you through that. The letter talks about the actions of a vested interest group, which they allege is trying to pressure the judiciary, influence the judicial process. The lawyers allege that this vested interest group was employing pressure tactics to influence judicial outcomes, especially in cases that involved political leaders. These lawyers then flagged that the interest group's focus is on corruption cases against political leaders. So they're talking about something very specific in the backdrop of what's happening. Lawyers have also highlighted several concerning methods, including the propagation of what they claim as false narratives about a so-called golden era of the judiciary. The lawyers flagged that some of these tactics have been employed by the group include selective criticism or praise of a court decisions based on whether it goes on their favor, whether it is akin to their political agenda, calling it my way or the highway approach. They say that it's strange to see politicians accuse someone of corruption and then defend them in court. These lawyers have now claimed that there is a bid to discredit current proceedings and to undermine public confidence in these courts. They say that the efforts to belittle and manipulate the courts for personal and political reasons cannot be allowed under any circumstances, which is why they've written this letter to the Chief Justice. They highlighted that these actions pose a significant threat to the democratic fabric and the trust that has been placed in our judiciary and the processes that are there. They went on to then request the Supreme Court to stand strong. They asked the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, to take steps to protect our courts from these attacks. Now, this is what happened, and the political fallout of it transpired about a few hours later. What words erupted over this letter? Listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say. The Prime Minister came out and said that this was an attempt to browbeat and bully, and this really is a Kong culture. The Congress was quick to respond. They said that the Supreme Court has delivered multiple body blows to the BJP, so the BJP must not claim any high moral ground on this. The Prime Minister said that the Congress had committed judiciary 50 years ago. They wanted a committed judiciary for themselves, is what the Prime Minister alleged. The Congress said that the PM defending judiciary is the height of hypocrisy. The Prime Minister went on to say that the Congress has desisted commitment towards the nation time and again. The Congress and Jairam Ramesh specifically went on to say that the Supreme Court had declared electoral bonds unconstitutional just recently, a scheme that was brought in by the BJP. The Prime Minister said that no wonder 140 crore Indians are now rejecting the opposition, rejecting the Congress. The Congress said the Prime Minister has given legal guarantee to corruption, and it's not about these 140 crore Indians rejecting the opposition, but these 140 crore Indians waking up to what the BJP has been doing. Mallikarjun Kharge, the chief of the Congress party, also came out and said that institutions under the NDA government are under attack. The political war of words brewing, that's the big debate. Continues with me on this broadcast, national spokesperson of the BJP, Shehzad Poonawalla, Kapil Madan, lawyer and political analyst leaning towards the Congress and multiple issues, joins us as well. And Manan Kumar Mishra, signatory and chairman of the Bar Council of India, joins us as well. Let me begin by asking Mr. Mishra, let me start off by asking you, what prompted you to write this letter in the first place, for you and 599 others to sign it?
A group of lawyers, they wrote a letter to the Honorable Chief Justice of India. Actually, the purpose was to browbeat the institution and to lay a pressure tactics on them. That apart, to tarnish the image of our judiciary. Writing a letter is one thing, and then they made it viral through social media, throughout the country, throughout the world. That prompted us to give a effective reply, and myself, Mr. Harish Salve, Mr. Adish Agrawal, we all together joined and we wrote the letter to the Honorable Chief Justice of India.
In this letter that you've signed, sir, you speak of this vested group. Who exactly are you referring to, if I may ask you that?
The name everybody knows. Mr. Adish Agrawal has already disclosed the names. The name is not important. The most important thing is that few lawyers come politicians. Everybody knows them. Whenever an order is passed in their favor, no issue. But whenever they want an order to be in their favor and they don't get this either from Supreme Court or from the High Court, then they start browbeating the courts. Then they start doing some pressure tactics upon the institution, which is not at all tolerable either by the our legal fraternity or by the common man of the country. See what happened? The ED arrested Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. Against that arrest, they immediately approached the Supreme Court. They made an application. They mentioned the case before the Honorable Chief Justice of India. Then the case was fixed at 2 p.m. A special bench was constituted. When they realized that the petition is misconceived, they are not going to get any favorable order from the Supreme Court, either before that special bench or any other bench. The jurisdiction was not there. The moment a person is arrested and remanded, the jurisdiction lies with either the special court or the magistrate. They directly moved the Supreme Court. Then, realizing their mistake, they withdrew the petition. And now they are saying that this judge, that judge, this is a bench fixing, this is the, actually, the institution is in danger. It's all baseless things they are uttering before the public, and they are actually making it viral through the social media. This is beyond tolerance.
You speak of bench fixing, and I'll come back to you on that. But Kapil Madan, specific references there being made by one of the signatories to the letter, and that speaks of the kind of protest that we saw within the fraternity, within the legal community as well, in the aftermath of Arvind Kejriwal's arrest. So there's one specific case that is being referred to, at least in the recent circumstances.
So I'll just give a very small reference to what has transpired recently. Mr. Manan Mishra just said that a petition was wrongly filed before the Supreme Court. I mean, a person, any litigant has right to approach the court, rightly or wrongly. Sometimes the court passes the order. If there is no jurisdiction, court does not entertain. And in this case, what has happened now? Coming back to one of the signatory of this letter, Mr. Adish Agrawal. Mr. Adish Agrawal wrote a letter to the president to ensure that no effect should be given to the electoral board judgment. And thereafter, he again wrote a letter to the Chief Justice to say that there should be a suo motu review. And in fact, the Honorable Chief Justice of India, in an open court, renounced, and he was surprised with this kind of a letter. I mean, if at all jurisdiction is an issue, a person who himself is a Supreme Court senior advocate has also wrongly wrote a letter wherein there was no jurisdiction. That's point number one. Now, the timing of this letter, I would just say that recently we have two very important decisions by the Honorable Supreme Court. One was regarding the electoral bond scam. And if you see the letter, Mr. Harish Salve is also one of the signatory of this letter. Remember, he was representing SBI. He went and he sought time from the Honorable Court to furnish the data. The Supreme Court again came down very heavily on Mr. Salve, and court rejected that application and directed that the information should be given to the election commission next day. And the information was indeed given next day. So what was happening there? They were trying to play in political galleries because they knew that the electoral bond case has negative political repercussions, and therefore they were seeking to buy time. Now I'll give you another instance of what has happened. Now you remember what has happened in the Chandigarh mayor elections, where a person who was associated with BJP, was caught red-handed on video camera, manipulating, forging the ballot papers, and the Supreme Court, asked that person to appear in person. He had to appear in person. Again, he made a false statement, and a prosecution was initiated against him. So these are, to my understanding, two very important, decisions.
Sure, but I think that's exactly what is being.
But to say, I mean, nobody then in that situation, made an argument that, any political party is trying to, influence, the judiciary or the judicial.
Sure, but I think that's the exact argument that they're trying to make, that verdicts go either way, but you cannot decide to question a judgment or hail a judgment based on whether it is akin to what your political ideology is or whether it's in your favor or not. Shehzad, I see your hand going up, and I'll come to you for a rebuttal, but I want to get in a word from Mr. Mishra as well, because we were speaking of timing, and that's something that this lawyer also speaks of. Mr. Mishra, the letter goes on to say that we are reminded of similar antics in 2018-2019 when they took to their hit and run activities, including fabricating wrong narratives. So are you saying that this is all just time to elections, 2019 and now 2024?
Naturally, everybody knows that this is the time of Lok Sabha election. Then anyhow, they are now our courts, our Supreme Court, they are trying to make it a battlefield, which the lawyers or the public, they are fully aware of it, and they are not going to allow anybody to make our courts the playground or the battlefield. Political battles you can't actually play in through the courts, maybe Supreme Court or any other court.
Absolutely, and those must be kept out. Legal battles and political ones must be fought on their different turfs. And Shehzad Poonawalla, we've seen the kind of political fallout that this has had as well. The Prime Minister himself has waded in. He's weighed in on what this really means as far as Congress especially is concerned. But the Congress now represents the entire of the opposition on most issues. This is something perhaps that will bind them together as well.
Look, first of all, this is the same Congress party which imposed the emergency, wanted committed judiciary, allowed for supersession of a judge, and also made Baharul Islam sometimes a judge and sometimes an MP, and after Mr. Baharul Islam was an MP, he was again made a Supreme Court judge. So this is the context of the Congress party. It's like the devil preaching scriptures. Now let me tell you what is the problem today. The problem today is that Congress's commitment to the constitution is conditional. If the Supreme Court gives a verdict on Chandigarh, Kapil Madan and his ilk will celebrate it. If the same Supreme Court says ED and CBI are not acting under any kind of pressure, the Kapil Madan and his cabal will say, no, we reject this. The same cabal will then go and start besmirching the reputation of a judge. For instance, when the 4 judges came out and did a PC, Khadge and his ilk were celebrating those judges. When the same judge from that judge was part of the Ram Mandir verdict, they start abusing and saying that this judge is a bika hua judge. Thereafter you say, my way or highway. That means the court has to follow your diktat, and if the court does not follow your diktat, then the entire institution is called under question, where Rahul Gandhi says it's a BJP RSS controlled institution. First of all, decide, when Mr. Chandrachud says that there is no executive pressure on him in various media forums, is that true, or is Rahul Gandhi's version that this is an RSS BJP controlled judiciary? That is true, and this is the problem. The problem is that the Congress thinks that it is the Loktantra or it is the country in itself. So if Congress's existence is in threat, Loktantra is in threat. If Congress does not get a verdict its way, that means Loktantra and judiciary are biased. If Congress loses an election, EVM election commission is biased. This Congress's attitude कि मैं ही संविधान मैं ही देश, this is the moot problem, and in that, while abusing and attacking Prime Minister Modi, they start attacking Indian institutions. The entire world is celebrating India's democratic exercise, but their cabal is trying to prove to the entire world that judiciary is not fair, Loktantra is not fair, democracy is dead in India. Imagine this is their agenda, that to make Modi look bad, they are happy to make India look bad, India's forces look bad, and therefore they've started attacking the Indian judiciary and trying to put pressure. And last word, if today, just look at what has happened. The judiciary has come out and, for whatever it's worth, given a verdict on even the income tax matter, the High Court. Yet they continue to say that our bank accounts are frozen, when it has been clarified that there's a lien, there's no bank freezing of account. They continue to say it's vindictive karwai when the court has said that you have been sleeping all this while not paying your taxes. So can Kapil Madan tell me that are you the Samvidhan? Are you India?
So, allow me to make a very quick response. I agree with my good friend Shehzad Poonawala. Perhaps, his remarks, he made very terse, very critical points here. And, it exposes the letter which is under question that we are debating. That, this letter itself is an exercise wherein, people are trying to, create, some sort of an environment to, project that, judiciary is under threat. I totally agree with Shehzad Poonawala. That's the reason why it is our independence of, judiciary that is ensuring that our constitution is protected. That is ensuring that, people who are, taking swearing in, ceremonies at 5 a.m. in the morning, those ceremonies are declaring illegal. That is our constitutional court that is ensuring that, illegal exercise by the governor of, calling a chief minister to prove a majority, that has been called illegal. It is our constitutional court that are ensuring that a mayor, who in mayor election, a BJP functionary who forges the paper, he faces the wrath of the law. It is our judiciary who is exposing the quid pro quo and the illegalities and the massive institutionalized corruption that got exposed by way of electoral bond scams. And
just one line.
I'm absolutely sure. These kind of letters which are being circulated in order to create, false impression will not yield any side, sort
one
of
line.
ill-gotten results.
Yes, Shehzad, I'll get you in, but Kapil Madan,
Kapil
Madan, I just want to ask you this. You say that these kind of letters are trying to build a false narrative, but this letter came to a letter that previously was made viral, making claims exactly opposite to this. Then would you also say that too is trying to create a narrative or whip up a sentiment?
Of course, yes. Of course, I say that. I mean, you can't question. It is our constitutional courts, our honorable courts that
sure. So let's keep courts out
that
of this.
Our democracy is preserved. And any attempt to derail the course of justice should be condemned.
Sure. So let's keep courts out of this. Yes, Shehzad, you had a point to make.
Just now, Mr. Kapil Madan was saying that the judiciary did this action on that BJP person in the Chandigarh mayor case. Judiciary took a stand on the electoral bond case. So then the same judiciary has convicted Lalu Prasad Yadav 5 times. Why does RJD say that Lalu has been subjected to vendetta? The same judiciary has said that Mr. Manish Sisodia won't get bail. The Sharab Ghotala has taken place and 338 crore money trail has been found. Why does Mr. Kejriwal say I'm Kattar Imandar, Chavanni nahi mili? The same judiciary today has denied any kind of relief after all your same repeated old wine in new bottle arguments made before the judge by a political person and has denied bail to Mr. Kejriwal. Why does the Aam Aadmi Party continue to hold press conferences and say कि ED और Modi ji खत्म कर रहे हैं केजरीवाल को? Who has put him in jail and who has kept him in jail? Why is it that when the income tax issue has not been set, when the income tax issue has been given no relief to on by the courts to Congress Party, why is the Congress Party lying that this is vindictive karwai of the income tax? Now please, Mr. Kapil Madan, be specific and tell me that when the Congress continues to say that we are being subjected and targeted in the income tax matter, it is false. When Kejriwal says Chavanni nahi mili, he is lying. Say it. Say this specifically.
Okay, now the point is, Shehzad, my good friend is not a practicing lawyer. That's the reason why he is making these kind of, very, naive kind of an argument. And I would, give him that concession because he is not a practicing lawyer. Let me just give you what happens. Now, when a prosecution, presents its case, that is tested on the way it has been presented by the prosecution. The veracity of the allegation is tested during the course of the trial. The trial in ED cases, which my good friend Shehzad has referred, is yet to begin. It is only during the course of that trial.
Lalu is convicted 4 times, my good friend. You are a practicing lawyer.
I am coming
Kapil, because you invoked my name personally and you made a personal comment. Now listen to me. Lalu is convicted 4 times. Lalu is convicted 4 times.
So I then, Shehzad, be very careful when you quote example, because Lalu's case and Sisodia's and Kejriwal's case is different, because these are under trials and that
Lalu is convicted 4 times, yet the RJD says it's vendetta. What about that?
Drawing the same logic, my good friend Shehzad, when he used to be in Congress, there was, the so-called 2G scam. The Supreme Court came very heavily because the Supreme Court initially,
conviction, my friend, conviction.
Just a minute.
Kapil, you are a practicing lawyer. I have talked about conviction, not allegation.
Shehzad, you're a very intelligent debater.
Take a position on RJD saying Lalu is being subjected to vendetta when he's been convicted 4 times. Take a position, boss.
Shehzad, I will expect the same courtesy. I not for a minute interrupted you. You are a very seasoned debater.
But you did not keep courtesies when you attacked me personally for not being a practicing lawyer. I am asking you, Lalu is convicted 4 times. What is your stand?
Chautala convicted or not? You please tell me, is Mr. Chautala convicted? He was your alliance partner or not? Is he corrupt or not? You please say it. You please say it. I'll leave it. I will not say anything. You say.
I don't think you know. You don't know. We don't have an alliance with them in Haryana. We don't have an alliance with them in Haryana. What are you saying?
Mr. Chautala was convicted or not? Mr. Chautala got convicted or not? Say yes or no.
अरे but he is not my ally. Why should I answer?
अरे बाबा, अच्छा yes or no तो बोल दो कि हाँ वो convicted है, corruption के लिए convicted है. Yes or no बोल दो. Fact.
अरे but facts सारे पता है. It is a fact that he is convicted, but what does that have to do with my party?
So you mean?
I agree he is convicted, but Lalu is convicted and he is a part of India Alliance.
So that you agree that he was your alliance partner and he got convicted for a corruption case. So you and thank you for very candidly.
So what are you trying to say? That we do not stand by convicted people? That's what you are trying to say, right? You are standing by a convicted person.
Mr. Mulapala, let me take your case. Now your alliance partner, Mr. Praful Patel, is he facing an ED prosecution or not? Was there an ED case or not? Is he a corrupt gentleman or he is not? You please say it because he is your alliance partner.
Let me answer this again.
You please say yes or no. But आपका alliance अभी तो Mr. Praful Patel.
I'll answer. I've heard your question. I'll answer this.
Please yes or no.
I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question now. If you stop,
you will drift away. You will not answer because
you claim that you're a.
You've asked your Kapil Madan. You've asked your question. Let him respond. I have very limited time on this. Shehzad, go ahead.
Kapil Madan just told me that I am not a practicing lawyer, he is a practicing lawyer. We are talking about only convictions, yet he keeps changing the goalposts.
No,
you quoted the example of Chautala. Chautala is not in our alliance. Please don't interrupt. Chautala is convicted and he is not in our alliance. But Lalu is convicted and he is in your alliance. And yet you say that Lalu has been unfairly subjected to vendetta. Now please tell me that you condemn that statement. And this is exactly the point I am trying to make. That if you have the proof against anybody, A, B, C, D, go to court and get them convicted. If you have proof against Praful Patel, go to court. But when Praful Patel was with you, he was the cleanest man. And today he has become corrupt. When Ashok Chavan was with you, he was the cleanest man. Today he has become corrupt. When you have the other leaders in your party, they were all clean and today they have become corrupt. This hypocrisy and flip-flop. Mr. Kejriwal said Lalu was corrupt. Kejriwal said Sonia was corrupt. Kejriwal said that all these people need to go to jail. And today Kejriwal is himself in jail and he says that I am not corrupt. This is the problem.
So let me just give a 30-second response.
Unfortunately, Kapil Madan, I'm completely out of time and I want to have the signatory of this letter to him for him to have the last word. I just want to ask you, Mr. Mishra, you've written to the CJI, you and several others. What are your expectations from Justice Chandrachud on this?
We have made a request to the Honorable Chief Justice of India to take some action against such lawyers because it's a clear case of contempt. They have made deliberate attempt to tarnish the image of our judges. They have named some judges and the entire institution they have tried to malign. Therefore, it's a clear case of contempt. We have made a request to the Honorable Chief Justice of India. Now it is for the Chief to take a decision.
So let's keep politics out of our courts. Let's keep those two arms separately. And I think that's something that everyone will agree on. On that note, I have to end it right here. I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast and sharing your perspective. Time for a quick break on the right stand. But on the other side, we'll get you details of the Mahabharata that's brewing over seat sharing. And it's not just the India alliance, it's the NDA alliance that seems to be mired in this power struggle in Maharashtra. Will it hurt anyone and who will it hurt? Coming up on the other side.
Co-powered by
we haven't had anything like this happen in Baltimore. All of a sudden you're like, I saw it on the internet. I'm like, oh my God, a bridge collapsed somewhere. And then I'm 10 seconds in, oh my God, it happened here. So immediately you start transitioning to the effects of this. And it turns into, uh-oh, we know that the maritime transportation is going to be cut off now, which is a huge part of what we do. We're bringing products in from all over the world, obviously, and we're exporting product to South America, the Far East, Europe as well. We can't ship anything out right now, so the exports have been shut off. So obviously there's nothing we can load in containers to go out of the country because there's no vessels to load it on. You know, the vessel traffic has stopped. So, and with no incoming containers, you know, that will be shut off as well. So sooner or later, you know, the port's going to just quiet down. It's going to be, I hate to use the word, but almost like a ghost town here, probably within the next few weeks.
If we just have to,
yeah, everybody, I mean, we're not the only one who's affected this.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta find a way to dig into it.
Yeah, it's just.
With the amount of cargo that comes into this country, you need to understand how, I guess, how fragile this can be. You know, who would ever think this would happen? I mean, this is, you know, everybody's worst nightmare, obviously, in Baltimore, the crazy things that happen. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that happen to get your, you know, your Amazon package to your door, or just being able to go to the grocery store and a local merchant to get your product. People losing their lives in this terrible accident and the tragedy. You know, hopefully we can locate these people, and my heart goes out to their families and everybody involved. But you know, the next step, you know, as per President Biden, is we need to get the channel back opened up. What that's going to entail, I don't know. We're working with the port daily, and you know, the state, local governments, to see what we can do to get everybody back up and running here. I'm just a small piece of what goes on here.
The Port of Baltimore blockade caused by the catastrophic bridge collapse is unlikely to trigger a new supply chain crisis in the US or spike the prices of goods. That's according to economists and logistics experts. They said that's due to ample and growing spare capacity at competing East Coast ports. Several people were still missing after a container ship collision destroyed the Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday, and it remained unclear how long the wreckage would block the harbour's mouth. However, the rescue search for more survivors was suspended on Tuesday evening, about 18 hours after the incident. Port officials down the East Coast were busy on Tuesday fielding queries from shippers about diverting Baltimore-bound cargo from containers to vehicles. The Port of Virginia is seen as a major beneficiary due to its close proximity to Baltimore, but Georgia Ports Authority said its Savannah and Brunswick ports were also poised to absorb some traffic. The situation is a marked shift from the clogged, understaffed ports and supply chain chaos of 2021 and 2022 that spiked prices and fueled inflation as Americans binged on imported goods purchases coming out of the global health crisis. East Coast ports have invested billions of dollars over the past decade to expand capacity. While the temporary closure at Baltimore may add time and cost for some companies, economists don't expect a significant macroeconomic impact.
Welcome back. It's 22 days to go before the first vote is cast for the big Lok Sabha battle. The fight for Maharashtra is not going to be the same as it was in the past. Remember, Maharashtra is the state with the second largest number of Lok Sabha seats, 48 seats up for grabs. 2014 and 2019 elections, we saw a straight fight between the BJP-Shiv Sena alliance and the Congress-NCP combined. But this time the fight is very different because those factions have now disintegrated. They are in different alliances altogether. Ideologies is something that is going to play an important part as far as who gets the vote is concerned. Maharashtra is ready to vote for phase 1. Remember, it votes in 5 phases. But both the India and the NDA alliances seem to be struggling when it comes to certain seats. That seat-sharing formula still seems to be elusive for both those camps. Amid this, the Shinde Sena has released a list of 8 candidates for now. They say this is just the first list. The candidates that were named were for Mumbai South Central, for Kolhapur, for Shirdi, for Ramtek as well, among others. But there are some tricky seats that both the alliances are looking at because all camps within those alliances want their share. They see them as their traditional bastions and they want those seats. So first, let's look at what these troubles are, what these seats are as far as the NDA camp goes. Nasik is one of them. All 3 parties want to contest from this particular constituency, but it is the current member of parliament is from the Shiv Sena, from the Shinde camp, which is why they believe that this is something that should naturally come to them. Amravati, where the BJP announced its candidate yesterday, Navneet Rana has now been fielded by the BJP from this particular seat. Remember, she was an independent member of parliament, but their alliance partner is not going to let this go. Bachchu Karu has threatened to fight independently from that same seat if her candidature is not withdrawn. Coming to South Mumbai, that's where we are seeing a fight once again. The tussle is between the Shinde Sena and the BJP. Both of them want this prized seat, so to say. Raj Thackeray, who recently met with BJP senior leaders here in the national capital, he too is eyeing one seat for his leader from there. Let's move across to Satara now, where the Ajit Pawar faction of the alliance is adamant on this particular seat. The BJP also seems to be bargaining. They want the seat for Uday and Raje there in that particular constituency. Dharashiv is another seat where there seems to be troubles within the NDA alliance partners. The Ajit Pawar camp and the Shinde Sena both are eyeing this constituency. They believe that they both have chances to win this particular seat and that they are entitled to have it. This was one camp. Let's look at the India alliance. They too are having their fair share of troubles as far as Maharashtra is concerned. The biggest one for them seems to be Sangli, where Uddhav Sena has fielded the candidate already, but Congress is demanding now a friendly fight. We're an alliance, so let's make this a friendly fight, they say. But will that mean they put up a candidate as well? What is that going to do with optics? South Central and Mumbai, this is what we're talking about. Uddhav Sena has announced their candidate again, but the Congress wants to field their own candidate, which is why there is some friction. Bhiwandi, on the outskirts of Mumbai, all 3 parties seem to be wanting that constituency. The Sharad Pawar faction, Uddhav Sena and the Congress all want this particular seat. Mumbai Northeast as well. Uddhav Sena has announced their candidate again, but the Sharad Pawar camp is eyeing this seat because they feel that this is their traditional seat, which is why they come out and say that all is well as far as alliances go. This is something that will be worked out. We're still days away from elections, but are we really that far away? Shouldn't this have already been sealed for both camps? Listen in to some reactions coming in.
महाविकास आघाड़ी जो है ये आघाड़ी बिगाड़ी की दिशा से आगे बढ़ रही है और आपस में महाविकास आघाड़ी लड़ रही है। एक तो माननीय उद्धव ठाकरे जी शिवसेना उद्धव बाला साहब ठाकरे जी के नेता है। उन्होंने जब तक मतलब महाविकास आघाड़ी के तीनों पक्ष जो प्रमुख है उनके सीटों का तालमेल होता नहीं है तब तक सीटों की घोषणा करना ठीक नहीं है। जब तक तीनों का ठीक तालमेल होता नहीं है तब तक सीटों की घोषणा करना ठीक नहीं था, लेकिन शिवसेना ने दादागिरी करके मतलब सीटें घोषित की है, ये अच्छा नहीं है।
सबसे पहले तो उन्होंने कांग्रेस पक्ष की तरफ से नहीं रखा, उन्होंने अपनी पर्सनल राय रखी है क्योंकि उनको एक कैंडिडेट जो था एक उनका जो पिछला चुनाव हुआ था उसमें वो हार चुके हैं शिवसेना से और ये हमारे लिए विनिंग सीट थी तो हमने कैंडिडेट डिक्लेयर किया है, तो उसकी नाराजगी उन्होंने व्यक्त की। अब अमोल जी पे आरोप लगाए जा रहे हैं क्योंकि ये जानते हैं कि ये हारे हुए हैं, ये इनको हराना भारतीय जनता पार्टी को मुश्किल होगा अमोल कीर्तिकर जी को, इसलिए वो अनर्गल बयानबाजी कर रहे हैं। दुखद है, उम्मीद करती हूँ कि वो समझेंगे कि अलायंस धर्म जो होता है उसमें कहीं कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना जरूरी है।
Good evening. This is Brass Taxam Zaka Jacob. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been sent to further ED custody till the 1st of April. Now, today's debate is not about the merits or demerits of the case against Mr. Kejriwal. That, of course, is a matter that's going to be settled by the courts. But the US State Department has, not once, but now on 2 occasions, responded to Kejriwal's arrest by saying that it hopes that the due legal process is followed. Now, you could argue many things against the Modi government. Certainly the argument that they use ED, IT, CBI, etc. disproportionately against the opposition. That is an argument that does hold water. But to say that India's judiciary is compromised, which was the implication of the statement from the US State Department spokesperson, that is something that is deeply contentious. Isn't that statement by the US State Department akin to saying that India's judiciary is hand in glove with the executive? It's hand in glove with the state. After all, India has never said that the US, for example, should ensure due legal processes are met in Donald Trump's many legal cases. And of course, many Republican supporters, many Donald Trump supporters, MAGA aficionados, if you will, they feel that many of the cases against Donald Trump are trumped up and they are foisted on him by the Biden administration. But India has never ever said a word against these cases. After all, these are internal matters of respective states. So has the United States State Department overreached and crossed that line of non-interference in internal matters of friends and allies by commenting not once but twice on what is clearly an internal matter here in India?
Chief Minister Kejriwal. Congress Party's allegations that tax authorities have frozen some of their bank accounts in a manner that will make it challenging to effectively campaign in the upcoming elections, and we encourage fair, transparent, and timely legal processes for each of these issues.
ईडी खुद ही कह रही है कि इतने दिनों की रिमांड के अंदर उन्हें कोई जानकारी नहीं मिली। एक चुने हुए मुख्यमंत्री को आप कितने दिनों तक जो है इस तरीके से कैद कर सकते हैं?
मानवीय भावनाओं को दबाया जा रहा हो और तानाशाही तरीके से दबाया जा रहा हो, तो ऐसे स्थिति में स्वाभाविक है कि जो मानवतावादी विचारधारा है वो निश्चित रूप से कहीं न कहीं व्यक्त करने का उनको दायित्व है।
The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable.
All right, so is this an overreach by the US State Department? After all, why should they be commenting on something that is the internal matter of India? Tuhin Sinha is national spokesperson of the BJP. Jasmine Shah is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. He'll be joining us. Kawal Sibal is former Foreign Secretary. Michael Kugelman is director of the South Asia Institute at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington. Before I go